Mais qu'en est-il pour votre organisation, votre entreprise? Comment créer de la valeur dans d'autres secteurs grâce au partage de données? Réponse à présent avec Josh Daddario de l'Open Data Institute, ODI, une fondation qui est née à Londres, cofondée par l'inventeur du web, pour la petite histoire, Sir Timothy Berners-Lee. L'Open Data Institute qui étudie et diffuse les meilleures pratiques en matière d'open data, qui forme des spécialistes également et apporte son soutien aux acteurs du partage de données. Merci d'accueillir chaleureusement Josh Daddario de l'Open Data Institute.
Hello, thank you very much, everybody. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to be doing this in English today, so I appreciate you bearing with me. My name is Josh Daddario. I'm with the Open Data Institute, and that is a very large picture of me. I'm here to talk to you today about the value of data sharing in the private sector. So I will first introduce who we are at the ODI, talk about sort of the history of the work that we've done, and the project that I'm leading right now that's researching the topic you see before us. So first off, about the ODI, we're a nonprofit organization. As was said, we're founded by Tim Berners-Lee, and we're mission-driven. So our vision of the world is that we want to create one where data works for everybody. So not just large corporations, not just the government, but for the little guy too. So our mission is that we work with companies and governments to help build an open and trustworthy data ecosystem. We believe that data exists across a spectrum, so we created this visualization to help people understand that it could be closed, so very private personal information about yourselves, shared information, so that which you will allow someone else access to, and finally open data that has been described already today, data that's available for everyone to access, use, and share. So our theory of change goes that we believe that the proper use and sharing of data can create value for organizations sharing it and for the wider society. And so we try to avoid what we call negative scenarios here, such as the oil field. So in the oil field, we see data hoarding, where only a few large organizations have control over the data and therefore benefit from it. Conversely, we also try to avoid data fearing, so we try to build trust in ecosystems so people are willing to share data more and share data more responsibly so that more people can benefit from it and we can gain more from the data that is available in society. Now, obviously, this is a very big task, creating this open and trustworthy data institute, so we are one of many organizations working towards a good balance between encouraging and restricting how data is collected and used. Probably some of you are here with us today. So a little bit in the history of the work that the ODI has done in the private sector. We had our Open Enterprise program a few years back where we worked with these three large companies to help them with open approaches and to publish open data to sort of change their mindset a bit about what is possible with open data. So starting with Thomson Reuters, everyone knows the big financial company. We helped them create an open data platform where they published data that was accessible to everyone, and they found that their customers were using it more and more and really able to gain value of it, and it helped them with their customer relationships. So stuff that was a more inefficient process before was now much more so, and stronger relationships with their customers. With Arup, an engineering firm based out of the UK, we worked with creating a system of open innovation. So we helped them open up their data, and then partnered them with certain startups, such as Mastodon C, which then used their data to provide services back to them that they wouldn't have been able to do before, and to help, again, build out more customer possibilities with these new, with this more openly shared data. Finally, we also worked with Syngenta to help them publish their Good Growth Plan. So this is 6 open data sets that they publish annually. And so they were doing it in an effort to be more transparent. And what they've found is that they've become a more trustworthy brand because of it, and it's helped them in that way. Another major initiative that we have been behind and that I work on myself a lot personally is the Open Banking Initiative. So this is basically a data portability regime that exists in the UK, very similar to PSD2 that you have here in France. But basically, we allowed some open publishing data, but also secure sharing data through open APIs. So through this, this was mainly done to create a more innovative and a more competitive retail banking sector in the UK. So it was done primarily to help the customers, but we found that it actually has benefits for the banks as well. It allowed them to have better KYC of the people they were lending to and taking money from. It fought money laundering through these stronger APIs that didn't have to exist through screen scraping and similar things. And finally, it allowed them to, similar to the Arab case, open their data and then work with third parties to provide services that were never before available for them. Either they didn't have the political will internally or even the capacity and capability to create these solutions in-house. Another interesting project that we are working on at the ODI is looking to convene the engineering sector. This is through our work with Lloyd's Register Foundation. So we have had a bunch of organizations get together and promise to open up more data. And so through our research of what this open data is allowing for them, we're seeing that it's helping increase safety by monitoring and improving working conditions. It's increasing productivity in construction and engineering, and it's enabling open innovation across the sector. So these are all huge wins, not just for consumers, but for the businesses themselves. And this leads us to one of the main areas that we are working on today, which is our R&D program that is funded by the UK government. So we are basically working with public and private organizations to see how greater access to data can benefit the wider society. And so obviously private sector organizations are a big part of this. This is sort of a visualization of our R&D programs. We have three major components that we're looking at. One is data as infrastructure. The second is innovation, business, growth, and trade. And the third one is data sharing and trust. So I'll talk a little bit about the first two today because they really pertain to the crux of what I'm here to discuss with you all. So looking at data as infrastructure, we know this is kind of looking at how businesses share data. So we see data as infrastructure. It's assets that you build, that you maintain. It links, data is like roads. The better maintained they are, the stronger they are, the more communication and connectivity we have towards each other. There are many ways that organizations share data. So we have designed this, what we call the data access map, and it shows all of the many ways that we see organizations share data today. A lot of what we see in our research could be in very technical ways, so looking at APIs between organizations, so partner APIs or open APIs. We see data portals as a common way of sharing data, so just going onto websites and downloading the data sets that you need. But we're seeing a growing number of really new and novel data institutions as ways of sharing data. So these could be data trusts, data commons, and data collaboratives. If you want to learn more about the data access map and the myriad ways that organizations are sharing data, I encourage you to go on our website or chat with me after this talk. So we find that with stronger data infrastructure, we have the data that is being shared is more plentiful and the quality is better. It's leading to these new and better services. The main focus of the project that I'm running right now on the value of data sharing to the private sector focuses more on the innovation, business, growth aspect of things. So we're really looking at what is the value of sharing data, and not just widely, because that's a bit of an easier sell, but what is the value to the organization that is sharing the data? How can we convince these organizations, private sector organizations have tons of very useful data that they don't use, that just lie dormant. How can we show them the value of taking on this initiative? So through our research for this particular project, we have identified 10 different types of business value. I will talk through a few of them here today. This is still a work in progress, so I can't divulge the names of every organization that we've talked to, but hopefully by the end of the year, we'll have all of our case studies sort of signed off and published, and you'll be able to access them and get the full story. So consider this just a little snapshot. So the first one is trust as a USP, or as a value proposition. So this goes back to talking about Syngenta, for example. Now they are opening up their data, they're sharing data more widely, Now, this is a hard one to measure a specific ROI figure on, but from their anecdotes, they know that they're selling well, and this is allowing them to create business partnerships that they may not have been able to before, both with competitors and within the wider regulatory sphere. We also see this with rideshare programs, so that are sharing data with cities and able to become more trusted partners. A simplistic one that we've probably all seen before is on the market analytics side. Often large organizations hold data and they don't necessarily have the right skill sets within the organizations to analyze it, or they may not have access to wider competitor data or market data. So by sharing their data with organizations that have these sorts of assets, they're able to provide better information back that allows them to make stronger business decisions. We're seeing this across numerous sectors. A really interesting one that we are not only observing, but are invested in ourselves as the ODI, is helping organizations increase their serviceable available market. That is, helping them reach more customers in a better way. We have an ongoing program called Open Active that is working with activity providers, such as gyms and leisure centers, to help open up their data so that third-party providers can then take that data and build interesting services with it. So we see them building activity search services, booking services, and this is allowing these smaller gyms and organizations to reach customers they were not able to before, and to also target specific ones that may be sort of outside of the exercising population right now. So this is the elderly people with disabilities are now able to understand what activities are best suited for them, and then are able to sort of see and act upon that better. Another really interesting one that we've been looking at is supply chain optimization. So we see that a lot of organizations are coming together and sharing data to try to improve how they get products to market through the design and delivery phases. So right now we see that there's some organizations have a real-time data sharing platform that they're using to design airplane wings and other things to really get things to market faster and vastly improve their efficiencies. A more simplistic one, again, is around proactive compliance. So this is sharing data in order to ensure transparency and cooperation. Obviously, many organizations have to do this just for regulatory compliance, but many are doing it in a way to become trusted organizations, to preempt some of the regulations they may see in the future, and to sort of move the needle to make things in that sector more stronger, more trustworthy, to promote that sort of more commerce within it. The final one I'm going to talk about today is about open innovation. So open innovation is a very broad term. It can mean a lot of things to a lot of different people. The way we see it is that it is sharing data to allow third parties to create new products and services with data. So many organizations hold data or share data, but they don't do it in a way that they can then get all the benefit from it. So we saw this with Arup previously, but right now we are hosting a startup program called Data Pitch, where we are partnering data providers with data users and helping them build services out in order to benefit not just the user itself, but also the data provider and the wider economy that they are working in. So this has been a major focus for us at the ODI. So I want to leave you with a couple interesting quotes that we have had. So going back to the supply chain optimization that I talked to you about earlier, one of the senior managers there talking about their data platform has said that with our new data sharing platform, a process that used to take several weeks now takes 2 hours. So this is massive efficiency gains that we're seeing for engineering and contracting firms. This is really important. And in a similar space, Richard Clegg, the chief executive of Lloyd's Register Foundation, has found that improving access to data about our built environment creates opportunities for efficiencies innovation, and ultimately improve safeties. And for any engineering firm, this is right on there next to the bottom line. We're a members organization, so if this sort of research and development is interesting for you guys, if you want to learn more, if you want to get involved, if you're a startup that wants to sort of work with us around open innovation, we encourage you to sign up. We love our members. Look at the giant heart. I mean, it says it all for you. It's for most organizations, it's pay what you can. So we really encourage you to sort of join us and join in the conversation about sharing data. And with that, I will leave you to ask any questions. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup, Josh Daddario, restez avec nous. C'est vrai que la carte de membre a l'air assez sympa avec ce petit cœur. Allez, passons aux questions de la salle à présent. Merci de poser, si possible, vos questions en anglais. Est-ce qu'on peut vous apporter un micro, une question juste là au premier rang? Voilà, le temps pour Pauline de descendre. Vous apportez ce micro. Pas mal de marche dans cette salle, au final. Alors Chantal Génermont, que nous avons eu tout à l'heure sur scène.
Thank you very much. How do you measure, when you mentioned the project and the data startups and then the providers of data? You mentioned the project. How do you measure the return and the services based on the data published? Can you measure it? Did you measure it?
Thank you for your question. So this is an ongoing program, so our startup program, but we have, it's called Data Pitch, if you're interested in looking into it afterwards. So we are planning on a sort of monitoring and evaluation section coming up soon, but basically since it has only been in about 2 years down the line, we don't have enough information yet to see the economic impact, but we have hired sort of econometric consultants to come in and then see what the value of that has been, both to the data provider, the data user, and to the wider industry. And we do this across all of our startup programs. So Open Active, the one I was mentioning earlier, but the activity providers has a similar one too. And we have seen with that one, for example, that there has been across the UK, I think, savings in the millions to data providers and sort of economic opportunity from the data users.
Une autre question peut-être? Another question, maybe, si possible en anglais. Oui, madame, juste ici, là-bas.
Je me déplace.
Ouais, juste là. Qu'on puisse vous apporter le micro. Pour les autres, rassurez-vous, vous pourrez continuer la conversation dans la pause qui va bientôt arriver au niveau de l'Open Platform. Please.
Sorry, I don't understand French, but my name is Ramya, and I'm coming from Michelin. And thank you for the presentation. My question to you is, could you give a concrete example of how sharing data has helped in improvements in supply chain optimization, and the efficiency which you were talking about? One concrete example of
Yeah,
that you must
so
have come
the platform that I mentioned earlier, so as we have not published the case study on this yet, we're not able to share the names of who it was, but basically it's a major aerospace organization, and although I'm not sure if we'll have the end financial figures, they have said so far that anecdotally, that when they have used this real-time data sharing platform with their suppliers and with their partners, they've been able to reduce the time it takes to design, for example, an airplane wing from 2 weeks to 2 days, or 2 hours even. So we don't have the exact figures yet, but you can imagine with that kind of efficiency gains, how much money they're saving in creating these products.
Une dernière question, peut-être? Oui, monsieur.
Hello, I'm Martin from Michelin also. Hi, Ramya. Sorry. I had another kind of question. Can you tell us a bit more about the trust component? I mean, in a company where sharing data may be frightful or something, how is it possible to convince that sharing data is not something dangerous?
Yeah, so with that, I think it's all about sort of the environment in which you do it in. So a lot of times we have shown to organizations that we've done surveys around what are like sort of consumer desires around businesses, and trustworthiness is a huge one. And so usually with organizations, we will start small. So it's like, hey, let's share some data sets that we know that you are proud of, that you're happy with, the world showing. And so with that, they sort of see the cultural change that comes from it, of talking with people, of getting feedback. So for example, Syngenta, they actually had hired some like really good people at their organization soon, and they had found the organization and liked the organization because of this data sharing initiative. And so from there, once they start seeing the benefits, start understanding the culture change around it, then they sort of tidy up other data sets, they move on, and they kind of grow the number of data sets that they do share.
Merci beaucoup et merci Josh Daddario. Thank you very much. Open Data Institute.